Okay. Hi, I'm Fernandez. I'm with Beneficial Life. I run an insurance company. Considering all the volatilities and the problems of currencies today, do you still believe the fact that dollar should still remain as the world currency, or should we already think of, or theoretically have people thought about having a basket of currencies or a substitute currency to replace the US dollar?
So the question is whether the dollar should remain as the world reserve currency. There was it's not my decision to make, right? It's the market. The markets decide this, right? And what we saw. So prior to the crisis, and especially prior to the Eurozone debt part of the crisis, there was a lot of talk about the euro overtaking the dollar as the global reserve currency, and some good friends of mine and prominent economists were predicting that was going to happen pretty quickly, by 2015 actually. Then with the Eurozone debt crisis, people realized what they knew all along but kind of lost sight of, that to be a global reserve currency you have to have a very, very deep sovereign bond market. And what Europe has is the euro area, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 independent sovereign debt markets that don't share liquidity, that all have different roles, and so it's not a unified bond market, and that's something that would be very important, right? You need to be the global reserve currency. Big players need to be able to get in and get out of your currency without incurring too many costs, and even in bad times, without incurring too many costs. And so the euro is clearly, until we have political union and a union of bond markets, it's not going to rival the dollar in terms of international usage. There's been a lot of foreigners own, let's say, I can't remember the number right now, let's go with $6 trillion of U.S. securities. They're clearly, and I'm guessing at that number, they're clearly worried about their investments, and when they're worried about the investments, you do see a lot of this discussion. Should we move to a different reserve currency? Should it be a basket? The Chinese proposed, I'm not sure how serious they were, but proposed the SDR that the IMF has. But that's not really a currency in any way. Any central bank who wanted to replicate the SDR could in their allocations to different currencies. It's very well known what goes into an SDR. So I think what's happening is the U.S. dollar is still at the core of the global financial system. Policies in the core in the U.S. are troubling the rest of the world, and at that time it's natural to think about what alternatives there might be. For these other alternatives to actually blossom, you need some of the things that I mentioned. You need financial sector development. You need the development of what Laura mentioned, of strong domestic financial markets. You have to allow your currency to be used internationally, and not all countries do that. Not all countries want that. And so, what's the alternative to the dollar? Right now, I don't see a strong alternative. Do I think it's healthy to think about it and to look for alternatives? Absolutely. And again, do I think it's healthy to move, to actually do the things that would strengthen other currencies? That is, develop the local bond markets and the financial systems. I think these are all very, very positive steps.